Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Whitney Costers and I am a professor of English. And I've made this video because a lot of people are asked to write reports with almost no explanation of what that actually means. If someone tells you to write a report, you might immediately start searching for what is a report supposed to look like? How is it different from an essay? What sections does it even have? Do I need an annotated bib? Where do charts go? How formal should it sound? And how do I know what to include and what to leave out? These questions are very reasonable, but they're also a sign that no one ever gave you the fundamentals. Now, that gap matters a lot because reports are not just another writing task. In professional and institutional settings, reports shape real decisions. They influence whether money is spent, whether policies change, whether systems are fixed, whether risks are addressed, and sometimes whether harm is prevented. When reports fail, the consequences can show up as delays, misjudgments, misplaced confidence, or actions taken without a clear understanding of what was actually happening. So this video is designed to do that foundational work. It explains what reports are, what kinds of documents count as reports, how reports are usually structured, how sources function inside them, and how readers actually use them. Think of this as orientation because it'll give you the map before you start navigating. So let's start with the most basic definition. A report is a non-fiction document written to explain a situation, condition, process, or set of findings so that other people can understand what's happening and use that understanding for planning, evaluation, compliance, or future action, which is why reports prioritize clarity and usefulness over creativity, personal voice, or essay-style argumentation. Reports are not written to explore ideas for their own sake or to demonstrate how well someone can write an essay. They're written to make information usable. And that single difference explains almost everything else about how reports work. So one of the biggest sources of confusion is that report is not a single document type. It's an umbrella term. Because when people say report, they may be referring to very different documents that all serve the same basic function. Under the umbrella of report, you'll see things like informational reports, status reports, evaluation reports, technical reports, incident reports, safety reports, market research reports, environmental impact reports, and institutional or compliance reports. That's a lot of reports. It's really important to understand that these documents don't all look the same. Some are short, some are long, some are highly technical, and some are written for general audiences, which is also why the level of formality can vary and is shaped by audience rather than by a single academic standard. What connects them is not format, it's purpose. Each exists to explain something clearly enough that other people can rely on it. So because reports are built for use, they tend to share a set of common conventions. So I'm going to give you the basics that people are usually scrambling for. So most reports include a title page which identifies the document clearly and directly. It typically includes the report title, the author or authors, an organization or affiliation, and a date. Report titles are descriptive. They're not clever since a reader should just know exactly what the report covers by reading the title. Longer reports often include a table of contents. This is not optional. Reports are not usually read straight through. In fact, expect readers to skim, scan, and jump to the sections they need, and a table of contents makes that possible. Many reports include an executive summary, which is not an introduction and it's not a preview. It is a standalone overview of the report. It explains why the report exists, what it covers, and what the most important information is. In many real-world situations, this may be the only section some readers read carefully. And so because of that, executive summaries are written to make sense on their own. I do have an entire lecture devoted to how to write one of these properly because they are one of the most misunderstood parts of the report writing, so be sure to check that out. Reports also include an introduction. So the intro explains the situation being examined, the purpose of the report, and any background readers need before moving into details. This section answers a very simple question, which is, why does this report exist and what should the reader understand after reading it? Reports make boundaries explicit. You will often see sections labeled as scope, methods, assumptions, limitations, or data sources. These sections explain what the report includes, what it excludes, what information was used, and what constraints shaped the work. Now, this is not filler. It prevents readers from assuming the report represents more than it actually does. The main body of a report presents information, findings, or analysis. This section is divided into clear headings and subheadings. Those headings are not cosmetic. They function as navigation tools. A reader should be able to skim the headings and understand what the report covers without reading every paragraph. Later lectures will focus specifically on how to choose headings that guide readers rather than confuse them, so be on the lookout for those as well. Now, visuals often appear in the body of a report. Tables, charts, and figures are common because they help readers recognize patterns, comparisons, and relationships quickly. In reports, visuals function as evidence. That means they must be labeled clearly, placed intentionally, and explained in the surrounding text. Now, I do have separate lectures that focus specifically on tables and figures because visuals can clarify or mislead depending on how they're used. Most reports include a conclusion or summary section. This section brings the information together and clarifies what the reader now understands. Some reports stop here, while others will move on to recommendations or next steps. It just all depends on the report's purpose. Reports also include documentation, but this is where a lot of people get confused, especially if they're used to academic writing. Reports do not use annotated bibs. An annotated bib explains sources one by one and comments on their usefulness. That format is designed to demonstrate research process. But reports use sources differently. In reports, sources are integrated directly into the explanation of findings, patterns, or conditions. Sources support specific claims or explanations rather than standing alone. A reference list appears at the end so readers can verify information and trace it back if needed. Another major difference between reports and essays is how they're read. Essays are meant to be read carefully from beginning to end. Reports are not. Report readers skim, scan, jump between sections, and focus on what is immediately relevant to them. Now, that reading behavior is expected. It is not a failure of attention. And because of that, reports rely heavily on structure. Headings, summaries, visuals, and clear organization are what make reports usable. So organization is not a surface concern. It's how the document functions. Reports also avoid certain things by design. They don't hide their main point until the end. They don't build suspense. They don't rely on personal voice, creative expression, or essay-style stylistic flourish. They don't use annotated bibs. Instead, they prioritize clarity, accessibility, and reliability. If there's one idea to carry forward from this video, it's this. A report is defined by what it does, not by how long it is or how formal it sounds. It exists to explain something clearly enough that other people can use the information without guessing. Everything else, like how to write strong executive summaries, how to choose effective headings, how to write findings that synthesize rather than list, how to integrate visuals responsibly, how to calibrate certainty, how to apply citation conventions, and how to revise structurally rather than cosmetically builds on this foundation and is addressed in some of my other lectures. This video is meant to be a reference point, so if you ever feel unsure what kind of document you're being asked to write, come back to these fundamentals because once the landscape is clear to you, the more advanced work becomes possible. As always, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you found this video useful, feel free to subscribe and explore the rest of my channel as I have a full library of content on writing, research, rhetoric, and of course, literature. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Be well.